Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kindi Arshad. First of all, I'm introducing myself. I am introducing my educational background. I have done MPhil in mathematics from Rifa International University in the field of applied mathematics. While the concern of teaching, from past 5 to 7 years, I am teaching in different institutes, like as physical and virtual. As a physical teacher, I have worked in a co-education system at different levels with different students. Whereas as a visual teacher, I am working with students who are following IGCSE and Australian curriculum. So I have well exposure of different curriculums. Now I am starting my lecture. So I'm sharing the book first, then we are going to start our lecture. So today my topic of discussion is like a quadratic equation and how to find out the solution of the quadratic equation. Okay. So first of all, the important thing is that what is a quadratic equation? So quadratic equation is any equation. First of all, I'm writing it here. Okay. So any equation of this form, ax cubed plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So, whenever you are discussing equation, these A, B, and C, these are the numbers vary from every quadratic equation. But the main thing is, if we define a quadratic equation, so quadratic equation is a such equation in which the highest power of the variable is 2. So, if you see here, here the power of x is 1, and here the power of x is 2. So the highest power here is 2. That's why this is called quadratic equation. Before this, we have learned linear equation in which we have learned the highest power of the variable is 1. That one is called the linear equation. Okay. So if you see here in this example, the general form of a linear equation is written here. If you see the only there is a one variable, variable is appearing only in the first term and its highest power is 1. So this one is called the linear equation. And if you see in the second one, the second one is called the quadratic equation. Now, mostly students, you can see that sometime it's happened that the middle term is missing. Okay, a quadratic equation is written. If I write an example here, just like this one, 7x cubed plus 21 is equal to 0. So don't be confused. Okay, this is also a quadratic equation. So such quadratic equations are called pure quadratic equation. Okay, now we are going to find out the solution of the quadratic equation. So always remember class, the quadratic equations are not as much easy just like the linear equation because here I'm writing one linear equation. I'm telling you, suppose this is a linear equation, 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. And I just want to find out the solution of it. I mean, I just want to find out the value of x. So what happened? Uh, if you see there is a constant term, so we just want to move the constant term on other side of equation. So simply we add and subtract the same term on both sides of equation. Okay, I simply add this term and I simply subtract this term on both sides of equation. Due to this, if you see here, both of these are going to cancel out with each other, and our final answer is 2x is equal to minus 5. 0 minus 5 mean minus 5. Okay. Now, if you see there, 2x is equal to minus 5. We are basically interested to find out the value of x. This x have a coefficient 2. Okay. So I'm dividing both sides of equation by 2. So both of these 2's are going to cancel out with each other, and our final answer is x is equal to minus 5 by 2. Okay, this is the case of linear equation. Finding solution is very, very easy because we are dealing with one variable. But in case of the quadratic equation, it's not easy everywhere, okay? So basically, we are following three methods to find out the solution of the quadratic equation. Okay, I'm just erasing all this. Yeah. So basically, there are three methods that we are using to find out the solution of the quadratic equation. The first one is called the factorization method. We are just making factors. The second one we are using is completing the scale method. And the third one we are utilizing is the quadratic formula. Okay, these are the three different methods we are utilizing throughout this chapter when we are solving the quadratic equations. Now, as it is not possible for me to discuss all these three methods, but for now, I am discussing the one-off method that is called the completing the scale method. Okay, that how to solve a question when we have to, like when we have a quadratic equation, and specifically it is mentioned that you have to solve this question by completing the scale method. Okay, so this is the, yeah. So there are a lot of example. I'm just taking one example from exercise. Okay, randomly I'm taking one question from the exercise so you have more clarity that how these methods work. Okay, so here I'm writing a question. The question is I'm writing a quadratic equation. X squared plus 8x minus 9 is equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation. Okay, in this method, we don't need the coefficient of x square. Okay, we don't need them. But in the last method that is called the quadratic formula, definitely we need the coefficients. So simply if you want to find out the coefficients, you just write the standard quadratic equation, ax square plus bx plus c. Simply compare them and you just find out the values of a, b, and c. But for completing the scale method, we don't need a, b, c. But I'm telling you, for later on, we can utilize these values. So if you compare them, what is the coefficient of x square here? Here it is 1. The value of a is 1. If you compare the coefficients of x, so the value of b is equal to 8. And if you compare the values of c, so c is equal to minus 9. Okay, so we just find out the values of a, b, and c. Now, in completing the scale method, the main technique is simply you have to focus on the one term. You have to focus only on the x term and the coefficient of the x term. This thing is very, very important. Okay, our main focus is on this x term and the coefficient of x. Okay, so if you see here, the coefficient of x is 8. Sorry, the coefficient of x is 8. Now, simply divide this coefficient by 2, okay, and took care of it. So if you want to simplify it, okay, it's fine. If there was a simplification happening, you can simplify, okay? So if you simplify it to 1 time 2, to 4 time 8. So our final answer is for scale, okay? Now class, what happened? Simply you have to add this factor and you have to subtract this factor. So I'm writing the quadratic equation again, x squared plus 8x. Right after this term, x squared plus 8x. These are the two terms. You don't need to change them, okay? And right after these terms, you have to add this term, okay? Like what we have find out right now. You just add and subtract this term after these two terms. So I just add it and I just subtract it, okay? And then I'm writing the remaining term, the last constant term as it is. Okay. Now class, carefully if you see here in the first three terms, like if you see here in these three terms, formula is completing. Which formula? the formula like a plus b or a minus b. If you see here, there is a positive sign, and definitely this term, the last term, have a positive sign. So we are writing x plus this term. This is a basically b. Okay, a plus b whole square. If you carefully analyze, this term is a square, this term is a b square, and in between the term written is 2ab. Okay, here the value of a is 1 and the value of b is 4. So if you multiply 4 into 2, your answer is 8. Okay, so here we just close the formula. And now in the remaining term, we just want to simplify them. If you took square of 4, 4 square means 16. Minus 9 is equal to 0. Okay, I hope till this step it's clear, everything is clear. Okay, class, now almost 80% of the question is done. We have to simplify it a little bit more. In few questions, like there are a lot of questions in your paper, in Excel exam especially, it is given that you have to express the question in this form, like ax plus b whole square plus some constant term c. Okay, this is the one form of the question that is asked in the examination, from examination point of view. So if you simplify this question, if you simplify both of these terms, minus 16 and minus 9, already know that minus into minus is a positive. Minus and minus is a positive. It means we have to add both of them. And if you add both of the terms, the answer is 15. Okay, and negative. So till this point, the answer is right. Okay, mostly it is given that you have to simplify it like this point. But if you want to simplify it further, like if it is given that solve this question by completing the square, it's mean it is given in the question that we have to find the value of x. Okay, so we can simplify it further. I'm just moving this 25 on other side of equation. And always remember, when we are moving a term from one side of equation to other side of equation, its sign is going to be changed. First it is negative and now it's become positive. Okay. Now simply if you see here x plus 4 whole square, there is a whole square. Okay. So we just want to remove this square. So always remember a square is removed by a square root. So I'm taking square root on both sides of equation. Okay. I'm just taking a square root on both sides of equation. So this square and square root is going to cancel out with each other. And after a little bit simplification, our answer is okay. So our final answer is x plus 4. When we took the square root, so we have a one positive and one negative root. Okay. And if you took the square root of 25, it is definitely 5. And why it is 25? Basically, 25 is written as 5 sum 25. Okay. In 5, you just write it like 5 square. Okay, and square root are going to cancel out with each other. So from this point, there are two solutions of this quadratic equation. So the first one is x plus 4 is equal to 5. This is the first one. And the second one is x plus 4 is equal to minus 5. Now, if you simplify it a little bit more, so the first one, here is the 5. And when you move this positive sign on other side of equation, it's become negative. So the first answer is 5 minus 4, your final answer is 1. And on the other side, minus 5, and when you move this positive 4 on other side of equation, it's become negative 4. So we have learned this thing before, that a negative negative was always positive. So 5 plus 4 is 9. But here it's take the negative sign. Why it's took negative sign? Because the greater term have a negative sign. Okay, class? So I discussed this question completely, but mostly like in your question, in your exam, from your exam point of view, Sometime it is given you have to express your question like this one, and sometimes they are saying that you have to solve it completely. So I hope it is clear